Very first thing you're going to want to do, go to your inventory, go to settings, go to gameplay, and then see this full auto melee. Make sure you turn that bad boy on. I'm going to cover this as quick as I can. This is a combination of the Sturm bug and the lightweight frame bug. We're going to start with the prismatic subclass itself. Song of Flame, Phoenix Dive, Burst Glide. You could technically use Blink or any other one you want. Arcane Needle. You could also use Pocket Singularity, but Needle's just old trusty. Vortex Grenade to be paired with Dominance. Weaver's Call. You could use Hellion, but one less fragment slot kind of is a yikes for me. Feed the Void, Enhanced Devour. We love that. Protection, more DR in melee range. Courage, 50% more unpowered sword melee as long as you hit him with a needle first. Purpose gives you restoration, and Facet of Dawn gives you radiant. As for the weapons themselves, we covered the two main ones, but for your energy slot, you could use the special Unfall, you could use Drang or Drang Bar Quo. Technically, any of those would be a good option. For your stats, you want to kind of focus on having 200 as the baseline because it gives you 45% more damage. There are people that probably focus a little bit too much on weapons, but weapons only benefits you on boss damage when it's above 100, and it only gives you 10%. So not really worth the investment as compared to this with Song of Flame. Surges. You definitely want triple surges. You definitely want one concussive sniper or melee mod with 2 elementals. Impact, induction, or momentum transfer, or focusing strike, or bolstering detonation. You want any of those 4 combinations just so you get your abilities back. Heavy-handed or firepower works for this. You just want to create orbs as you're doing things. I would say 1 siphon and use the fonts that you need to use to get to where you need to. If you're lacking like me, like this is 20, 40, a third would be 50. I'm using 2 to hit my cap of 200, so it's pretty nice. For class items, you generally want Necrotic or Inmost for the first column, and then second column you want Star Eater or Synthos. Any of those combinations works really well, but for Sturm Bug in particular, Necrotic is just broken. It just eats everything. And then for the Sword Bug, Synthos is broken. So that combination is pretty fun. But Star Eater and Necrotic is best in slot for Sturm Bug, just because if you're doing 200 with the 45% damage increase with 6 stacks of Star Eater, it's just a lot of damage. As for seasonal artifacts, actually I'll go to the other page to do it. These are non and void. This boosts Sturm damage if you ever use it. This boosts Sturm damage if you ever use it. This build uses Threadlings, so we want to boost the damage of those Threadlings. This is particularly for Unfall. It makes it get kinetic tremors. Same thing, if I get a sword kill or if I use Sturm and then switch back to Unfall, it gets a damage increase. This is nice when I use the Solar, because as long as I hit an Arcane Needle, I can just spam Solar and it does more damage. You could use Shield Crush or Radiant Shrapnel, just more utility with Shield Crush. And then Iron Lord's Vigor gives you DR when you have a sword equipped. So a lot of good things. The Iron Banner 4 set, the Smoke Jumper 2 set, the Last Disciple 4 set, and you could technically use TechSec 2 or 4 if you're going to use Sturm at all, but Bushido 4-piece is definitely the best just because you get heals on pretty much everything and DR guaranteed. So I would say Smoke Jumper or Bushido as kind of your baselines if you're looking at armor sets, but don't worry about armor sets over actual stat values. Definitely try to get 200 before anything and then spread it around as you need to. So keep in mind that this is going to be different numbers than what you're seeing. I'm like, I think minus 40 delta on 300. So Feast of Light times 6, 3 orbs in front of me for triple surges. I'll break it down as I'm doing stuff so you can, I guess, get the play-by-play. So opening with Weaken, Unraveled and Radiant. Deploy all the Threadlings so that pack tactics can be max stacks. Technically, I could have transcended first and done ability spam and then use super, but it's okay either way. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's not going to hurt you. The Snap, 1583 times 8. Eagle of Death did about 9k. About 6 Threadlings come out right after. That's another 1500 per. That rotation completes pretty much the whole time. You're just constantly spamming all 3 of those abilities in the bottom left. Once it's done, get all your resources back, or at least some return on them. Open with Weaken. 3 Unravel and Radiance. Transcend to do it again. Weaken and Freeze. Unravel and Radiant. So the Beyblade, remember in the beginning of the video where you have to turn on full auto melee, you can just hold your light melee button while on the ground, and you can keep tapping jump, and then you literally turn into a Beyblade. So it was around 45 when it started, and it had all the debuffs on the target, including Radiant, including stacks. And if you could look on the left here, I'm about to lose these as they're about to fall off. So if he's weakened, you'll see yellow numbers, and then look as we lose the other buffs and how quickly they fall off. So we're still at like 38k. And then once surges fall off and Radiant falls off, we're down to 32. And now we're down to 28. Now we're down to 26. Weaken falls off, we're at 23. And the only reason we're still doing a crap load of damage is because he's unraveled and we have Facet of Courage, which does like 50% more damage for some reason with unpowered melees. So we're still able to do a lot of damage to Carl. We're still able to push him to the brink, and it's just a lot of damage. And the reason you would use this build as opposed to just the Beyblade build is because Beyblade's great at boss damage, elite damage, everything like that. The Sturm bug with Necrotic just allows you to implode a room, and it's definitely one of the best feelings. And I'll show an example of that after this, but you can just block off entrances, spread Necrotic everywhere, and watch everything go So this was the Solar Master Golgoroth completion that you saw at the beginning of the video. Starting off by getting Sturm stacks. So I'm using Unfall to kill any enemies that I can as they're spawning. Generally, you want to do rank and file. You want to kill anything that's a red bar, anything that you can shoot. Then I spread around Necrotic, and then I switch to Sturm. So as long as I'm hitting my melees or using my abilities, and then I switch to Sturm, the room goes it just does so much damage in such a small amount of time. It spreads the stacks everywhere. It cleans up everything. And that's the advantage to using this build over just the lightweight frame build, is because you're able to survive forever. I have constant Devour procs. I'm able to kill everything. I'm jolting what I can. I'm applying Necrotic to everything. I'm blowing everything up. I mean, it's satisfying as hell. So here it's about to be damage on Golgi. If you look at the bottom left, I've got 80 ammo in the sword still. So 2 important things that are going to happen here before I explain as it's going on. Sturm had to be equipped. So if you look, Sturm is currently equipped when I go into the menu. If it's not, I lose all those stacks. So before I do it, and then switch about 8 times in the heavy. And then when you come out, you're good to go as long as you switch to the right sword. So back to 0, still full stacks. Let's pretend that's a times 6. And then you're good to go. That's how you would prep for a damage phase. And for build 2, this is the lightweight frame. Generally, you want Tenacious Mastery or Retrograde. Tenacious is actually better because it has synergy with some of the artifacts. And Chill Clip, obviously. When you freeze a target, you do more damage when you shatter it. So this hit becomes potent as hell if you freeze the target first. Edge of Action's what I'd recommend just because melee hits, the free bubble, the overshield, the free damage boost as well, which doesn't actually apply to the sword, but it applies to everything else, but it doesn't apply to unpowered melee. There's just a lot of synergy with Edge of Action and trying to get in their face to do quick swings. So these are the 3 I'd recommend most. Go over subclasses. So you could do Song of Flame or Needle Storm, and the reason I would switch it is only if you want Woven Mail or Restoration. That is really the only factor I would say, but it is really nice to have Transcendence and Song of Flame. You just get so much damage resist that it's potent as hell. You could do Phoenix Dive still, but because I already switched off Threadlings, Healing Rift is preferred just because you're going to be tapping the Rift the entire time you're sitting in it. So if you combine a Rift with the bubble, with the Beyblade, it's just a lot more consistent. Same thing, any glide you want, Arcane Needle or Pocket Singularity. Arcane Needle just has synergy because of Courage, though, so this still wins out. Vortex Grenade for Weaken, as I hinted. Weaver's Call or Lightning Surge, because this build, as I'm going to reveal soon, involves Syntheseps and not Star Eater. This wins out every time you use Synthoseps just because you're going to destroy a room. So if you have Syntho Necrotic, congratulations, you win the video game. It doesn't do the crazy ability damage that the Sturm build does, but it's still just so good. Feed the Void, always. Faceted Protection, same as before. Melee DR, 50% for the unpowered melees. Weaken, Resto or Woven Melee, depending on your super. And then Radiant for free. As for stats, this one I would focus, if you have it, on the 10% to damage buff the bosses, because you're not relying on ability spam this time. You're just trying to get in the boss's face and spin to win. So the 10% goes a long way. Obviously, with triple surges, it just goes even further. Let's start with class items this time. So in theory, if you have necrotic synthos, that's a good play. And most synthos, also a good play. I can't think of another good column 2. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'll modify that with a note. I don't think I will. Triple surges, like I said, 2 elementals and sniper, melee, or concussive. The same as before with these 4. So these 2 and these 2, and then these 2, firepower or heavy-handed. Helmet mods. This time it's a little more lenient because you're not pushing for super stat. So I would go with 2 siphons and maybe powerful friends if you're not playing solo. If you're playing solo, then congratulations, you don't have anything. I didn't mention it in the first build, but generally you want to use these 3 almost every time. You could switch time dilation for Reaper, and that's really the only thing I would even consider, right? Reaper gives you more consistency if you're spamming your class ability. If you're not spamming your class ability, then time dilation is better because it outperforms because you're not generating as many orbs. For set bonuses, for this build, it's double special, so you absolutely want Last Disciple. I said disciple, discipline. Last Discipline, because it gives you special ammo progress every time you generate orbs, so it's just nice to have that. You could also do DR with any of the other 2, which would be Smoke Jumper for the DR or Bushido for the DR. But yeah, it's just nice being able to have the ammo as you're trying to get to damage phase to begin with, and you're already going to have damage resist in the bubble, so it's just unnecessary to do the other ones. But yeah, let's do a demo. I have 0 ammo in Tenacious, and I won't pause this time because it's pretty self-explanatory. Void Grenade to weaken, Unravel and Radiant with the melee, Transcend for damage resistance, Special Reload the glaive, then the bubble, overshield, everything. Don't get blown away, spin to win. And it's just a lot of damage in a very small window, and it's really good for boss phases. It's not ideal, and it's really not the best for regular Pinnacle or Fire Team ops as you're just progressing things or you can't hot swap to it. So if you're in an encounter where you can just face a boss, it's pretty good. And just for comparison's sake, I'm going to drop another Carl demo for this build at the end of the video. I'm not going to talk over it, so that's why I'm dropping it there. Just giving you numbers, giving you the comparison, letting you see how it stands up. And there we go. Lightweight swords will be disabled on the 23rd, so get it while you can. A lot of encounters like Golgoroth and some of those solo flawless runs really could be done now. Gives you something to do and something to look forward to, personally. Much better, much more fun than the Portal, just my 2 cents. Sturm doesn't seem to be getting fixed, so maybe I'll make a build for that next. I've got Titan and Hunter builds that I've written down. I just need to actually put them into action, so those might be the next videos for these lightweight swords. Hopefully I can get them out before the weekend. That'd be nice. The last thing I'll say is that I have dim links in the description. I'll do all 3 builds from the beginning. So the Sturm build, the hybrid, which is Sturm and lightweight sword, and then just the lightweight sword. Like I said, if you want to make a build for the lightweight sword and just kind of hot swap on certain activities, definitely advisable if you can get Edge of Action paired with it, just because it's such a quick way to kill the boss like every time. So hybrid's good for, managing ads and then doing boss damage, but if you can hyper commit to just synthos and everything else to do lightweight sword damage itself, it's just beyond busted. So I don't know. Fun stuff to look forward to. Fun stuff ahead. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.